Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you very much for joining us for this afternoon session on showcasing and answering some questions about Carleton University Health Sciences program. Let me start by just giving you a very brief reminder and overview of the program, and then we'll have an opportunity to talk about so any specific questions you have. We have a number of people standing by who can answer the questions. We have Sandra from our program, Maria from the Faculty of Science, and a whole large number of undergraduate advisors and recruitment officers from Carleton. So again, welcome, and if we can please start with the slides. So just very briefly, who are we? So the Department of Health Sciences is a interdisciplinary and multidisciplinary group, which is researching and teaching very broad area of health research and health sciences. We focus on the intersection of different disciplines, which means that we cover basically a broad scope of issues ranging from a basic human biology, genetics, microbiology, all the way to social determinants of health, psychological determinants, mental health issues. And this broad scope allows us to be very well poised and positioned to be able to also educate our students and teach our students in this broad area of health research. What are the strengths of the program? Now, there's a number of similar programs across the country, and there are a number of things which are quite unique to us. We are very student-focused, and the way the curriculum is designed, it allows all of you to be able to flexibly customize your own course of program over the 4 years. We provide a large number of interactive and hands-on approaches. They vary from workshops to labs to working with faculty. Our faculty is really well funded by both local, national, and international funding sources. And this in turn then allows the students to do a hands-on research, very cutting edge leading research in a number of different areas. And very importantly, these opportunities are allowing students from the very first year to engage in research and hands-on research. And critically for us, and therefore for you, we engage a large number of our external partners, both in the city, but also more broadly in Ontario, in Canada, and also internationally. Again, giving an opportunity to students to engage in broad areas of research within the health field and health-related fields. As you'll see on the next slide, the most exciting thing for us lately was our new home. We have a health sciences building which opened last year, and this hopefully will be home for you also for the next 4 years. It features brand new space. We have state-of-the-art teaching and research labs. We have collaborative classroom. And although we recognize that perhaps in the fall, we will not be able to fully utilize this wonderful space, it is there for you to take advantage of and explore it. And with that, I would open the forum to you, our potential students. Please ask her questions. I know Maria is standing by to read them, and I'll be answering some of them online. And then the whole team is standing by to answer them in the Q&A window. Thank you very much.
Okay, that's great. Thank you very much, Martin. That was informative, and I have got a bunch of questions that are popping up, and I will be reading them to you. Everyone, this is Maria Droza. I'm just an Associate Dean at the Faculty of Science. Okay, are you ready, Martin?
I'm ready, and I just realized I did not even introduce myself. My name is Martin Hautzig, and I'm one of the faculty, and in fact, I'm the chair of the Department of Health Sciences, and I always forget to introduce myself. So absolutely, please start asking the questions.
Okay, wonderful. So here's a good question, and I think you mentioned this a little bit, but maybe you can expand on it. How is the Bachelor of Health Sciences at Carleton University different from similar programs at other universities?
Great. Yes. So I tried to kind of just allude to it a little bit at the beginning. So there's a number of things which make us stand out and which makes us unique. We are a fairly small program, which means that our class sizes are fairly small, and the interaction between the students and the faculty is much more intense. So we pride ourselves to know our students by name, both the support staff as well as the faculty, and it allows us also then to better cater to the needs of the students. The program also has been set up in such a way that it's very flexible. It allows students to fine-tune it to what they're interested in, what they would like to study, what they would like to focus on. This also allows combination of different concentrations. It allows adding a minor to your interest. The minor could be from some other areas completely. The other thing which we are very proud of is that we have very active and very engaged health sciences student society. These are students who are our students in health sciences program, and they look after their younger colleagues and peers. They look after themselves. They work with the faculty very interactively, and we try to do some of the extracurricular programming for our students. We offer a variety of placement options, both local and international. We try to integrate students into our research program as well. And this overall gives a very sort of strong community feeling for the students within the program.
That's wonderful. Thank you. Okay, here's another question. What is the difference between health sciences and biology with a specialization in health? Sounds like someone's trying to weigh their options.
Excellent. Yes. So I think the best way to describe the difference is perhaps like this. The health sciences program is very much focused on human form and function, physiology, and how it relates to health and disease. Whereas in biology, the focus is a bit more broad on all living organisms. So that would be, what are they made of, how do they function, how do they evolve. So it's more of a ecology, botany, zoology. And then there is that overlaying layer of looking at the human health in the context of that. So the main difference within the primary focus in our program is very much from the very get-go is just on human health and disease.
Perfect. Maybe a more technical question. How big are the classes?
So that varies. Our biggest classes are in the first year when all the students are taking the same courses. Our enrollment typically is around 120 students. So the health science specific class would never be bigger than that. As the students progress through the years, the classes get smaller because students get split into concentrations. Whereas in the first and second year, when there are still the more common courses like biology, chemistry, those would have several hundred students in a class.
Perfect. Here's another question, might be a little bit different now than it will be in the future, but are there any labs as a part of the program?
Yes, absolutely. Labs and experiential learning and hands-on learning is absolutely essential for all our students. The labs start from the first year. These are sort of more general science labs, which are done by our sister units like chemistry and biology. And then in the second year, we bring in microbiology. And in the third year, we bring in immunology and pathology. So there are three teaching labs, which are specific to health sciences. Now, how it will look in September, it will be a little bit different. Obviously, we'll have to follow the guidance from the province and from the PHAC. And so we're trying to come up with strategies that we can do some of the virtual classes, virtual labs. And then as soon as we are allowed to do face-to-face teaching, we will bring the students back into the classroom and do the labs.
Perfect. Okay, you touched on the idea of concentrations. A question here is, what are the main differences between the concentrations, the 5 concentrations?
Yes. The 5 concentrations allow students to pick areas of interest to them, what they're passionate about, what they like the most, and what they would like to focus their education on. The 5 concentration, for those of you who don't know them off the top of your head, is biomedical sciences. Here the focus is really on the biomedical aspect of human health. So we'll be focusing primarily on things like genetics, anatomy, physiology, microbiology, immunology. The second concentration is health through the lifespan. Here we look at how human health and disease are influenced from before conception all the way to the old age. So it looks at the continuum and how our health is being influenced by the changes we experience as human beings. The third concentration is chronic disease and disability. As the name implies here, the focus is on trauma-related disability, chronic ailment, chronic impairments and illnesses. Fourth concentration is global health, which looks or primarily focuses on the interaction between the environment, in the interaction between the global changes and health. So it's very poignant right now when you're looking at a global pandemic. So this would be sort of a great example of what happens in that concentration. How do global events impact on health? And the last concentration is the environment and health, which looks at the interaction between the health and environment. In the first 2 years, everybody's taking same courses. The concentration really takes place more in the third and fourth year when the focus can happen better.
Okay, wonderful. Related, switching between concentrations, is this a problem? Is this something that's relatively easy to do?
We don't expect everybody to know when they come exactly what they would like to do in 4 years. And so we allow switching between concentration. We see quite a few students as they come with certain predetermined idea what it is I would like to study because I have this notion I would like to be such and such thing. And as they learn more, as they acquire more knowledge and they see what's happening both in our department and also across the other sister units in the Faculty of Science, they realize that perhaps their interest lies somewhere else. So we do allow switching. We encourage it not to happen after second year because then the specialization becomes much more ingrained, but it's possible to do, yes.
Great. Okay. I guess while we're on the topic of concentrations, is it possible to do something like a double concentration or a minor if that's someone's interest?
Yes, absolutely. The program is set up in such a way that there are breadth courses and elective courses, and they allow students to then choose courses which will allow them to either do double concentration or a minor. The number of minors which are available, the newest one perhaps is our minor in communications. So again, it allows the students to combine their passion and love for a number of different things within the program.
Oh, that sounds great. Okay, how about this question? Are there volunteer or research opportunities?
Yes. It's very important to both have the theoretical knowledge which we can impart to our students during the program, but the practical experience, the hands-on experience is absolutely essential. So some of that is done through the teaching laboratories, but it's even more important to embed students who are interested in research into the research group themselves. And so we try to do it from the first year, and in fact the Faculty of Science doing research scholarships allow students in the first year to come and work. These are paid internships in the labs. They can work either in the wet lab or they can work. We have a community group of researchers. We have a social determinant of research is done out in the community. And so we encourage students from the very first year to get as much opportunity to work with faculty as possible. It doesn't have to be restricted to our faculty. It can also happen across the Faculty of Science. We have partnerships and great relationship with both other sister units. And also it can happen in a community. So it can be community hospitals, it can be retired residences. We have perhaps, I should perhaps mention more about our placements later on. So these opportunities happen both on campus and off campus.
That's perfect. Again, somewhat related, do you have a co-op program or a co-op option?
No, we don't. We don't have a co-op, but instead in the fourth year we offer research placements. And the main difference will be in a co-op you have to add a year to your studies, and it will allow you to explore different workplace opportunities, whereas the research placement happens for credit and is part of the fourth year capstone. And these placements can be done in a variety of different settings.
That's perfect. Yeah, so a similar question, I guess, what types of placements have already been offered through your program? Maybe some history on that, or?
We've developed over the years a number of partnerships with local and international organizations. Our strongest placements in terms of interest of the students and also the longevity of these placements would be in the hospital. So both the Children's Hospital, Ottawa Hospital, but also we have placements, for example, in the Brewer. We have Ottawa Police Force, in the Carleton Sports Clinic. We have placements international as well, in Trinidad, in Belize. Depending on the interest of the student, they can be either what we would consider wet research, so they're in the lab, or that are more computer or community-based. So, for example, placement in PHAC or Stats Canada, they would allow more of sort of the epidemiological type of research, whereas some of the hospital placements are more of a red lab or within the patient groups.
Sounds very exciting, actually. That sounds awesome. Okay, this question in different forms pops up a lot. Let's ask it this way. Which concentration will best prepare me for medical school?
That's a good question. The answer is that every concentration will prepare you equally for a medical school, because medical school is really a continuation of your undergraduate studies. And either concentration, so irrespective which one you would choose, would give you the breadth of the required knowledge which will be needed. So the advice usually we give to our students is pick a concentration which is closest to your heart, something you're passionate about, something you're most interested in. And then, using the elective options in the program, you can add courses which will then improve your educational curriculum such that you'll be well prepared. What I mean by that is that over the years now we realize that especially for interviews to medical school, there are two different aspects. One is the biomedical training, and so obviously, for example, MCAT will be something which will test for that knowledge. But in the actual interview, what often our medical colleagues comment on is that our students need to be well versed and well prepared in also the social determinants, psychosocial determinants of health. And so this is where the broad spectrum of our undergraduate curriculum comes to play. So we provide that information and that knowledge to students as well. And so this is where the breadth courses also are important. So then you can add to the curriculum the way you would like. So just kind of sort of circling back to the very beginning is that it doesn't matter which concentration you choose, either one will prepare you well, but there will be additional information and additional knowledge you as a student will have to do on your own.
That's perfect. Okay. I think this is a good question, and this might be something you want to address. People might be asking this themselves. So Carleton doesn't have a medical school. How important is that to your program?
That's a very good question, and it certainly comes up every single time we talk to prospective students. To have or not to have medical school, we don't see it as a disadvantage, because the links we were able to develop with our medical colleagues in the city are very strong, and our students can directly benefit from these. So in fact, we look at it the opposite way. So not having medical school gives us advantage because we can offer a much broader a type of education. And so we don't have to focus only on the biomedical aspect, which often will be associated with the medical school, but we can also broaden into the social, psychosocial, and bio/social determinants of health. And this is what makes our applicants very well-rounded, and they do quite well in their applications and when they go for interview to the medical school. So we are cognizant of the fact we don't have a medical school and may be seen as a disadvantage. So we're actively seeking relationships and partnerships. So we have partnerships with hospitals, we have partnerships with clinics, we work with different medical centers and physicians. We have clinicians on our staff, and they teach our students. And we also bring, as a guest speakers, physicians and practicing physicians into the classroom, so the students are in no way disadvantaged just because Carleton does not have a medical school.
Well, that sounds perfect. Okay, here's a good question. What have students from the program done after graduation?
That is a good question. We've so far graduated 3 cohorts of students, so our numbers are still relatively small. We're talking about 65 graduates, including this year's students. And they pursued a variety of career choices. They pursue a professional career choices afterwards, so that will be things like medical school, law school, dentistry, midwifery. Many of the students go directly into employment in the health-related sector. So this will be working, for example, as analysts in PHAC or Stats Canada or Health Canada. And a group of students continues into graduate school. Some of them stayed with us, so we have a graduate program in health sciences. But the students did quite well in a variety of schools, anywhere from McGill to U of T, out west UBC. So it's a broad range of professions the students can continue in. We have students who went to nursing. We have students who went to occupational therapy. So almost anything you can think of in terms of what is health research, what is health sciences, what are health-related fields, we can provide a strong education to allow students to continue in that field.
That sounds great. It sounds like the broad nature of the education really serves these students well. That's awesome.
And it's very important, sorry to interrupt, but it's important because for a number of reasons. One is that we know that in a changing environment, the education has to be very nimble and has to allow students to learn the critical skills, not just the knowledge, and so that the program allows that. And the other thing is that the students often come with a preconceived notion, I would like to be such and such. And they realize, actually, there are so many other things they didn't even know about, and they would like to do something else. So this is where the breadth of the program is very important.
I agree. That sounds great. How late do you accept applications into this amazing program?
Typically, I believe it's until the first day of classes. I'm sure my colleagues in the recruitment and admissions will have the precise answer, but typically it's until the first day of classes.
Wonderful. So let's see with the time. I'm going to just ask you one more question. What kind of research are your health science profs doing? Maybe you can tell us about the research that you do.
I don't think we have enough time for that, but it's a very good question. So I mentioned at the very beginning that we are a multidisciplinary and interdisciplinary unit, and the research truly ranges across a variety of different things. My personal research is in molecular genetics and rare genetic disorders. We are interested in understanding how changes in the DNA, or mutations which will impact how cells make proteins, how this will impact and relate to different diseases. And so in the context, we are looking at the context of cancer. Cancer can be seen as a disease of protein synthesis because cells are creating inappropriate proteins at inappropriate times. But we also look in the context of viral infection, perhaps very appropriately for the times we're living in. Now, how do viruses take advantage of the living cells of the human body, and how do they then hijack the protein synthesis machinery? But also we look in the context of rare genetic disorders associated with mutations in protein synthesis machinery. And it's personally for me a very rewarding area of research because we can work with patients and patient families in this research. But on the completely opposite spectrum of research, we have, for example, my colleague Paul Peters. He's looking at how healthcare systems are delivered across country. So we know there are urban and suburban areas, and there is huge inequity how the health and healthcare can be delivered. So what are the challenges? So Paul studies, how can we improve our healthcare delivery? And again, it's something which may sound very academic, but it turns out that as we all had to go into self-isolation during the COVID-19 pandemic, all of a sudden the issues which are faced by rural people, they're also being faced by urban people. How do you access something when you cannot physically go there? So that will be what Paul is interested in. We have faculty who are looking at immunology. Elana Castle, she's looking at how HIV interacts with the human immune system. Dr. Kristen Connor, she looks at how a maternal experience impacts the life trajectory of the newborn child. So this is the healthy lifespan approach, or DOHAD, Developmental Origins of Health. Renata Eistlake looks at how people, especially older populations, work or deal with isolation, and how music can help with some of the social isolations and some of the mental health issues associated with aging populations. So you can see that the spectrum of research is very broad.
That's fantastic, and I think that's right. And I think it's a great example of how we have these amazing researchers who are actually the ones who are teaching these classes. So these students are going to get this amazing experience from top educators who are also great researchers. Okay, well, I think that, that's it from me for pulling questions, Martin. So I'll let you wrap it up.
Well, thank you very much, Maria. And I'd like to thank everybody for their interest. I know to make the decision which school and which program to choose is very difficult because it does impact to some extent what you will be doing for the next 4 years, how your career and your life will be shaping up. And I hope that you will find that our program at Carleton at large actually offers a wonderful opportunity. The student support through a number of initiatives is perhaps the best in Canada. It's absolutely outstanding. The community at Carleton and the fact that we are almost on this isolated island surrounded by 2 bodies of water allows us to build a very robust, resilient student and faculty population. So we'll be very happy and proud to have you with our students. As always, any questions, we're always happy to answer, both Sandra and myself and any faculty by email, by phone, or if you are have more specific questions, you can always request a face-to-face Zoom, virtual, face-to-face Zoom or FaceTime chat. And we're always happy to answer any of your questions. And with that, I'll just perhaps wrap up. I see the time is almost there. And thank you very much for your attention. I see there is perhaps I'll just pick one of the last questions. Somebody's asking, can students research with you in their undergrad? Absolutely. So that's one of the strengths of Carleton, I think, and certainly our department, is that the students are encouraged to start in their undergraduate first year of their undergraduate degree. Typically, we think of graduate research, but undergraduate research is equally important. And the faculty is well equipped and set up to take students at different levels and to let them do different type of research all the way from the first year to the 4th year. And it will then culminate with the research thesis as a capstone project in the 4th year. So there's a question about the sports professional athlete. Somebody interested in working in the field of sports and professional athletes. So it's perhaps a great coincidence that Carleton has fantastic sports medicine clinic, and many of the staff and faculty are engaged in active research on campus. And there is an opportunity for students to work with these people. And so then in addition to taking the courses, within our program, also gain a hands-on experience within the actual sports medicine opportunities. And I think with that, we really are out of time. So again, thank you very much for your interest and your questions. We'll stay online for the next 10 minutes or so we have an opportunity to answer all the questions. And I wish you all the best. Thank you.